What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chad Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome into our Halloween special. We're just going to be chopping it up around the Minnesota Vikings. A little fan, vent line situation. It's going to be no cuts. It is just going to be me chopping it up with you guys, talking about whatever you want to talk about around your Minnesota Vikings heading into the Sunday night football matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. Speaking of that, if you guys want the Vikings to beat the Colts, just give me a SKOL down below. We got Joel, It's Carter, BLD, Aaron Sperry, Denham saying he's in history class right now. What's up, Denham? Denham, you better be paying attention a little bit to what's going on in class. But shout out to you for tuning in. M. Mac, a real one, Ruben, Carey, BLG. All the real ones in the building. Yeah, but pretty much on today's live show, I'm going to be live for the next 30, 45 minutes or so. Just wanted to get up on here, just chop it up with you guys, see how the fan base is feeling heading into this big-time game versus the Indianapolis Colts this weekend. We'll talk about some trade rumors. We'll talk about the injury report that actually just came out for our Minnesota Vikings. There's not much change from the Wednesday injury report. Blake Cashman still did not participate, but we actually got a little bit of investigative journalism from a video that was released from Vikings practice today, and it looked like Dalton Risner was starting at right guard next to Garrett Bradbury. So the early reports, the early speculation is that actually Dalton Risner will step in and start at right guard over Ed Ingram, which will obviously be great news. I think Risner deserves it. And I don't think, Ed Ingram has done anything this year where it's like, yeah, we need to throw him out there. I just think it's time. If you guys disagree with me, you guys let me know if you think Ed Ingram deserves one more chance, or, maybe if you're kind of where I'm at, you just say, hey, pull him, put Risner in. But, that's kind of why I absolutely love the trade for Cam Robinson. I could throw up his stats here real quick. And we also did get a report early on, today saying the biggest reason why the Vikings made this move for Cam Robinson was, one, obviously wanting to go get a Christian Darrisaw replacement, but two, then it gives you the flexibility to bench Ed Ingram. Because could you imagine, if the Vikings, let's just say hypothetically, they don't make a move for Cam Robinson and you got to move Blake Brandel to left tackle, and then you have Dalton Risner shifting in the left guard, and let's just say Risner struggled, then you would have pretty much 4 offensive linemen that you don't feel confident in. Because, yes, Garrett Bradbury, he has played better this season. But are you looking at Bradbury as like, oh, he's a blue chipper, he's a great offensive lineman? No, not necessarily. So I thought this move was great. And plus, how he grades out PFF-wise, it's not like he is on the level of Christian Darrisaw, but he is a starting caliber left tackle, and I think it's just a great move. So, I love the trade of Cam Robinson. I thought it was a right move to make. So shout out to Quezzy for that one. But you guys in the chat, Sunslay Play saying hashtag Vikings to Super Bowl. Tom Lyles is saying hashtag 66. He's rolling with Risner. Catch me on MySpace, and I'll volunteer to help Ed Ingram pack his stuff. Ed Ingram is definitely I don't want to say public enemy number 1 for Vikings fans, but he is up there as probably the player on this roster that frustrates Vikings fans the most, and for the right reason. And I think also when you're an offensive lineman, we only see your mistakes. Unless you go back and you dive into that all-22 film and you look at every single run set, that he has had, yes, he is not bad in the run game whatsoever, but we see the big-time moments. We see him on 3rd and long. We need protection from that interior of the offensive line, and he has just struggled. So I thought it was the right move. Hopefully that is what happens this Sunday night when we see that first unit offensive line out there. But, yeah, we'll see. As Denham in the chat, shout out to you, saying, what prospects are you looking at in the 2025 draft? I haven't really looked too much into the draft right now, but once we do get there, I'm going to be looking big at defensive linemen and cornerback. I think those are going to be the 2 position groups that, I could see the Vikings addressing honestly before the trade deadline this Tuesday, and I can also see them addressing it big time in free agency. But, we'll see. We'll see about if they end up making another move here, but again, I think the Vikings, they're set up really, really well, especially for the future here. But, we'll see. But I'll ask you guys this. Let me know your thoughts as you are joining us for a Halloween special. It's going to be no cuts today. It's just going to be me chopping it up with you guys. So you guys let me know. What's your confidence level right now in the Vikings beating the Colts? I'm pretty high. I'm at an 8, 9, or 10. I think this is going to be a very motivated team. You get embarrassed and, obviously the Lions game wasn't a primetime game, but all eyes were on you for that matchup. And it's not like you got embarrassed. You lost that game by 2 points, but you had a chance to win it, and you lost in embarrassing fashion. Like, you had a 3rd and 4 to go win the game. You had a chance defensively to get a stop and win that football game, and that's just not what happened. And then against the Rams, it's not like they blew you out, but that was a game a lot of us, thought the Vikings had a good chance to win. And it's not like, yes, the Rams played well in that matchup, but I thought that was more about the Vikings not going and winning that game compared to the Rams, like, taking it from the Vikings. But, it's Carter's giving me a 9. BLD is giving me 1,000. Ladder and Singles is going 6.45. M Max at a 10. BOD is at 1,000. SKOL J is saying Vikes by 27 points. Is the game today? No, the game's not today. The game's going to be on Sunday Night Football this upcoming week. Leland's going 8.5. Kyle's going 69 as his confidence scale. Shout out to you, Kyle. Ruben saying Colts are going to get smashed. Now, I understand. I fully expect the Vikings to beat the Colts. But we should prepare ourselves for this Vikings team, to go through some struggles in this game. I think this Colts offense, and why I put out a video saying the Vikings just got terrible news when Flacco was starting, because if this was Anthony Richardson and at quarterback, I understand he's got the playmaking ability. He can escape outside the pocket. He can make stuff happen with his feet. But is he the best quarterback for just running an offense, keeping them ahead of the sticks? No, not at all. And when you have a guy like Flacco in there, like, he's perfect at getting the ball out on time and on target. He'll keep the Colts offense moving. So a lot of pressure this weekend I am going to put on this Vikings defense, especially if Cashman is there. Now, if Cashman is not there, I think Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, I think they have to say, hey, we're going to go win this game, because I think if Cashman's not there, I could see this Colts offense maybe getting the 3 touchdowns. If they get a couple field goals mixed in there, like, they could go steal a victory in Minneapolis. But Killer Girl saying 9-3-4. Shout out to Harry Potter. Love that. Maya's World going to 10. Shout out to you, Maya's World. Thanks for tuning in. Bolt going, oh, okay, makes sense. Yeah. I just decided to get up on here and chop it up with you guys. A little Halloween special here, but Aaron Sperry going, I can't see us losing 24-17. And I know that's also, like, the thing, like, why I'm so confident is, like, if the Vikings lose this game, I am sounding the panic alarm. Like, I'm looking at this coaching staff differently. I'm looking at Sam Darnold differently. Like, really, there is no excuse for you to lose, even if Cashman isn't out there. Like, you got Hockenson back. You just traded for a starting left tackle. Yes, he is not on the level of Christian Darrisaw, but I fully expect the Vikings to win this weekend. But, if they lose, and let's just say it's in ugly fashion where it's Colts, maybe they get a game-winning field goal, they end up winning like 27-24, like, yeah, I would be extremely nervous about this team moving forward. Now, I also want to say this. If you guys want to get your thoughts up on screen right next to me, super chatting, great way to do so. It's just that dollar icon at the bottom of the live chat. If you guys want to steer this conversation any which direction, where you got a question you want to ask me, or if you guys want to ask yourselves, that's the live chat. What are their thoughts as well? Just really want to make this a community feel, a little Vikings fan, vent line where you guys can get up on here, share your thoughts. So, that is definitely on the table. If you guys want to talk about whatever it is, please send a super chat, or you guys could just comment down below. Use hashtag Vikings as well, and we'll be able to pull a couple of those. But Harvey Buxton, what's up, Harvey? Welcome in, saying 8-8 again. Let's go. Yeah, Harvey, come on. The Vikings aren't going 8-8. Like, I can look up their schedule here, and we can kind of walk through it all together. But I was looking at it early on today, and obviously I'm a very positive Vikings fan. A lot of wishful thinking, goes into my thought process being a fan here. But also we do have a super chat rolling in from Skolger. Appreciate you tuning in. All he had to say was Skol. So shout out to you, Skolger. I appreciate you. We'll get that up on screen here in a second. But, I do want to talk about one thing here real quick. Just let me throw this up. Yeah, if you guys got a question for me, just ask hashtag Vikings live chat or super chat. But let's walk through this. So the Vikings schedule right now. So obviously we have the Colts this weekend. They're probably going to be 5.5-point favorites when this ends. I actually want to find something where I can, pull up the odds for every game remaining for the Vikings. Let me just pull this up real quick. Then we can just kind of walk through this all together. Pull up the New York Times playoff predictor. Click on the Vikings here. As right now, they have the Vikings as a 78% chance to make the playoffs. And, all right, let's go down here. All right, so we're at week 9. So against the Colts, they got us as a 6.5-point favorite, according to the New York Times and The Athletic. So they have us a 70% chance to win. So the Vikings right now, they're 5-2. Let's just assume they win. They move to 6-2. Then they're in Jacksonville. Apparently, early line shows that the Vikings should be favored by 2 points. That's a tough spot. You're traveling to a warm city. It's getting a little colder. I still expect them to win that football game. It's going to be on November 10th. I would assume they will get a victory in Jacksonville, especially they probably won't have Brian Thomas. We just took their left tackle, Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson. There's a lot of, chaos going in that locker room right now. So let's just say the Vikings win the next 2 games. Bam, they're 7-2. We're feeling good. And then you're in Tennessee. The Titans are one of the worst teams in the National Football League. I fully expect the Vikings to win 3 in a row here, so then you're 8-2. And then you go to Chicago. 12 o'clock game, November 24th. The Athletic, they got this as a 50-50. 1% actually favored in the Vikings' direction at 51%. But I think the Vikes in that spot, I really like them because Caleb Williams, I don't necessarily think he's the best processor with the football. And I think Brian Flores, even though he has struggled against Stafford and Goff, those guys are elite processors. Those are veterans. I think Flores is really going to kick the crap out of young quarterbacks when the Vikings do get matched up with them. I mean, just look at C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love. 3 of the better quarterbacks we have in the NFL all have extremely struggled against the Minnesota Vikings. I think that's the processing side of the game. So I think the Vikings are going to win 4 in a row. So then you're 9-2. And then you got the Cardinals, Falcons, and Bears all at home, back-to-back weeks. Cardinals, you would be favored by 5.5 in that game. I think they're going to win there. So, bam, you're on a 4-game win streak. You're 9-2. Then it's the Kirk Cousins revenge game. Vikings can be favored by 4 points in that one. I think that should be a win as well. So then you're 10-2. Then you got the Bears at home. I honestly think that should be a win as well. So then you're 11-2, as crazy as that sounds. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that heading into Seattle week 16, this is a 11-2 Vikings team that's on a 6-game win streak. We obviously got to see if that will come to fruition, but I think it will. And then Seattle, let's just say you win that game, you're 12-2, or you're actually 13-2 in that spot. Then you got the Packers and Lions to round it out. Like, even if you drop a game here or there, the point being is, like, I think at worst this Vikings team is going to be 11-6, probably in that 5-6 seed in the NFC wildcard picture. But even if, like, let's just say you get hot, you rattle off a bunch of games, like that Week 18 game versus the Lions in Detroit, well, right now they would have the Lions favored by 4.5 points. I think that will not only be for the NFC North, but that will be for the number 1 seed in the entire NFC. That's just kind of what I think right now. But Michael H. saying sign Darnold to a long-term contract, that's going to be a tough conversation. I think the Darnold conversation is going to have to be something that we talk about once the season's over. I just think we're doing a disservice to Darnold, doing a disservice to JJ without having the whole sample size of a season with diving into that debate. Because let's just say this. We could go both extremes here. Let's just say Sam Darnold, best case scenario, he obviously wins a Super Bowl with the Vikings. You're bringing him back. You're signing him to damn near whatever deal you hope so, especially if he plays well in the playoffs. And, that could happen. If we're taking the extreme ends of this spectrum right here, the best case scenario for Darnold is he wins a Super Bowl and he is great in the NFC playoffs. But worst case scenario, let's just say this losing streak continues for the Minnesota Vikings. They somehow miss the playoffs with how good the NFC North is. Let's just say you drop both games to the Bears, you don't win another divisional game, and then you're 10-7, 9-8, looking on the outside in on the NFC playoffs. Then I think there is no chance Darnold is back. But let's just take the happy medium. Let's just say they go 11-6, 12-5, they win 1 playoff game, and then they lose in the divisional. I'll ask you guys this: if that's the situation, what would you do with Sam Darnold? I'll get you guys' thoughts here on today's show. So here's the hypothetical. Vikings go 12-5, 11-6, win 1 playoff game, but let's just say they lose that divisional round game and they get embarrassed. Like Darnold has a very bad game. He goes pumpkin mode. He ends up throwing an interception or 2. What would you guys do with Darnold? Aaron Sperry saying trade him. That could be an option too, like a little tag and trade. I don't hate that. The tag and trade's so interesting though. Like, I wonder what type of draft capital you could get and what teams could be interested. Like, maybe a team like the Raiders. Like, what if they take a swing on them? Maybe the maybe the Rams. Like, if they want a guy for after Stafford and a guy who already knows the system in Sam Darnold, maybe a team like the Giants, they view him as the bridge quarterback. Lisa saying, is this what you do for a living? This is what I do for a living. I am extremely blessed to be able to talk about the Vikings full time. Michael saying you either trade him or sign him for cheap. So let me ask you guys this. What contract would you give Darnold? Like, if he, again, same hypothetical, 11-6, 12-5, they win a playoff game, lose in the divisional round, and a big reason why they lose is because of him. I think I would max give him, in terms of years, max give him 2 years. I think I would probably give him around $50 million, probably $25 per year. But again, like, would you want to do that? Because then I can make the argument, why not just go to JJ? Like, have him develop. You have a great team around him. And I think also, if you guys were looking at what's going on around the NFL, the biggest reason why these quarterbacks are succeeding, unless you are an all-time talent, like a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson type of player, but even guys like Lamar and Mahomes, like Mahomes walked in, he's got the best play caller in the league, he's got the best tight end, he's had the best wide receiver in the league at the time in Tyreek Hill. It's just interesting. Like, would you roll out with JJ or would you go to Darnold? I would probably lean JJ just because I think also, like, when we're talking about these conversations, especially when it comes to like Darnold versus JJ McCarthy, like, what is Kwesi thinking? And I think ideally, Kwesi is thinking, if JJ pops years 2, 3, and 4, well, he's still on his rookie deal, the Vikings can build a loaded roster around him. You assume Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hockenson, Jordan Addison, and Darisaw are enough of a foundation where you could still be a top 10 offense. And then if you just put all types of talent on that defense with Brian Flores, like, that's where the Vikings are probably viewing that 3-year Super Bowl window to be, kind of replicate what the San Francisco 49ers have done in the past couple of years. Like, ideally, I'm sure Kwesi's thinking about that as his perfect scenario. But again, this is all reckless speculation. Like, we can't really get a great feel of what the Vikings going to do until we see how this season finishes out. Like, I think the toughest situation for the Vikings would be, let's just say this. They win 13 games, 14 games. Let's just say this. They win the division. They're the number 1 seed. They beat the Lions in Week 18. They somehow put the Lions into the 5 seed in the NFC. So you win one of those home playoff games, and then you have a home playoff game in the NFC Championship. And let's just say Darnold, he plays very, very well. He puts up good numbers, but the Lions just do enough to beat you, and then you lose a home playoff game. Like, then what do you do? Because you're like, oh, this guy just took us to the NFC title game, and we had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and he played well. Like, what do we do with JJ? What type of contract are we giving this Sam Darnold? Like, this is all just going to be very, very interesting, as Jared is saying, go with JJ, sign Flacco as his backup. Interesting. I actually wouldn't hate that, because then you kind of have that injury insurance for JJ. Like, if he does get re-hurt, you could just go with Flacco. And Flacco, honestly, in my opinion, is the top 20 quarterback in the league right now. If you guys haven't been paying attention, he has been awesome this year. No doubt. But Harvey asking a good question. What about running back? Running back's going to be interesting to see how the Vikings do it this year. I think if I was the GM, I think I would just do the same thing you did this past season, where you just go sign a veteran running back who still maybe has 1 or 2 years left in the tank. You just sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal, similar to what the Ravens did with Derrick Henry. I think that is kind of the new meta on how teams are treating the running back spot, because you think about it. Joe Mixon goes to Houston. He's super successful. Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. That's been a home run. Derrick Henry, the most knockout, free agency pickup so far. And Aaron Jones has been great. Like, maybe you draft a guy and then you bring in another veteran running back. I'm not sure, but I think that's going to be what we see, as a lot of great teams do, is they just pick up a running back in free agency. If they don't have one, if they're not, if they don't have the draft capital to get one, I could see them just hitting free agency for a 1-year deal yet again. As Kevin Brown, what's up, Kevin? Saying Darnold can go. He stares down JJ too much, and he doesn't spread the ball enough. Yeah, so actually a great question from Kevin Brown in the chat, or a great point, I should say. That's something I've been noticing a whole lot. So pretty much what I do, I'll watch a game on Sunday. We'll be live with you guys, and I'll go back and I'll just watch the raw highlights at night. And then NFL Plus, they'll drop the All-22 film, and I'll kind of just start chipping away at it throughout the week. Normally, I mean, I love watching Flores' defense, but I'll always start with all of Sam Darnold's dropbacks. I just love seeing, from a quarterback's perspective, what he was looking at. And that is one thing I've noticed. Like, he holds on to the ball way too much. And a lot of, it's not every play, but it feels like the big plays, the third and longs, the third and goals. He is just right there staring down the barrel at Justin Jefferson. And I think the greatest example was, if you guys remember last week, when the Vikings it was right after Jefferson had that crazy catch on the sidelines, and they had it first and goal. They tried to just get the snap off, went inside zone, didn't go nowhere, ran another play, didn't go anywhere, and then it was third and goal at the 5-yard line against the Rams, and Jefferson was running just a simple kind of skinny post on the goal line trying to get behind the defense, and Darnold is just staring him down. Jefferson ends up falling down, and he still throws the football. But if he would have just worked his way back in his progression, Addison was on a hitch route wide open. So that is why my bold prediction and my hot take for this Sunday, and I've been calling on it for the last 2 weeks, but I finally think this is the breakthrough game. I think Addison is going for 100 yards and a touchdown. He talked about it this week. He said he's going to start calling it. He said big game 3. He loves primetime. He loves the standalone games where all eyes are on Minnesota. So I think Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, they know that Addison should be getting the ball more. I'm sure this is a hot topic of conversation inside that locker room, because the last thing you want is, let's say the Vikings lose and Addison has two catches for 15 yards. I'm not saying he is going to go full Stephon Diggs mode, but I wouldn't blame him, especially if he is going over the film and he's like, I was open on that play. I was open on that play. I was open on that play. Why the hell am I not getting the football? He's too talented. Before the Rams game, because I was actually just curious about this, I went back and I looked and I watched every single route he ran so far this season. And obviously some of them, he's just running routes to create a distraction on the defense, which is one thing the Vikings have been trying to use him as a lot this year, is kind of a distraction. But, I was watching and I was just like sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, he's open a lot. Like, this is a guy, like, if you just watched his routes ran this year, you would think he would have 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. But that's not the case, because we're not targeting him. And if you think about, when did the Vikings offense look the best by far this season? In my opinion, it was the first half against the Packers. Who was the most involved wide receiver in that first half? It was Jordan Addison. And one more point on the Addison thing. You know how we always talk about use the run to set up the pass, use the pass to set up the run? How about you use Jordan Addison to set up Justin Jefferson? Because I think almost too much Kevin O'Connell's thinking, oh, I got to get Jefferson involved early so all the attention's going to go his way. I mean, I thought the Rams game was a perfect example. First drive of the game, and it ended up working on the first drive, where it was just Jefferson over the middle, and he was carving that defense up. But what if we get Addison the ball earlier? What if number 3 has a couple catches on the opening drive, and the Colts defense is going, man, it looks like the Vikings heard the noise coming from the fans this week and the noise from Jordan Addison. Clearly, they're going to get him the football, and then you pivot to getting Jefferson the football. Obviously, Kevin O'Connell knows a whole lot more football than I do, but I still think like there are opportunities for Addison to get the football, point being. So, Jared saying you have to feed Addison some games to make sure he is fully engaged every week. He's way too good to not get him involved. 100%, man. Like, he's a first-round pick. Like, you drafted him over a guy like a star corner. Like, I'm not saying Deonte Banks is a star corner, but you took him over him. Like, go get him the football. Like, he's playing next to Jefferson, Hawk, and Aaron Jones. There's really no excuse. And plus, if he is creating, I think I saw the stat, he's creating the second most amount of separation per wide receiver so far this season. Like, just get him the football. Like, and also, this would be a good segue here. We got to talk about the quick game. Man, like, that is the one gripe that I have had with Kevin O'Connell, him not implementing any sort of quick game. I don't know why. Maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part. But I think T.J. Hockenson is going to open that up. I don't know if it was like a group of, like a set of plays where they're like, oh, when Hawk's back in the lineup, then we're going to start going to this quick game. Because also what that will do, it will be kind of a makeshift run game on first and second downs. You can just throw them a 5-yard hitch quickly. And then it's just like, yes, it may not be an explosive passing play, but one, that gets Darnold in rhythm. He can see a completion early in the game. Two, that gets Hawk back, just get his hands loose, like, it'll get him more accustomed to this offense since he has been out for a very long time. And then that just keeps those linebackers just a step back. Because if you start looking at this film, like, these linebackers are being incredibly aggressive on early downs, but also they're being incredibly aggressive guarding the deep shots over the middle. There is something in that intermediate zone where teams are just leaving it wide open. They're leaving open the flats. They're leaving open the hitches for just about 3-5 yards. That's where I think Hockenson is going to be the difference. But also, I saw what Sean McVay did with Cooper Kupp and Puka back in the lineup. They knew the Vikings were going to come in the SoFi Stadium and sell out on the run. So what did they do? Adjusted very fast. You guys remember the Packers back with Aaron Rodgers where he would just look over, and this was also just special connection with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, but he would look over, and if he saw, oh, the DB's 8 yards off, I could just give him a quick audible, be like, hey, whatever route you're running, stop that, just turn around, I'm throwing you the football. And then it's just one-on-one with Adams and whatever corner it was. Implement that into the offense. I think it could do wonders. But we'll get you guys involved here. M. Max saying, I hope so. It seems like Munt is the only tight end Darnold sees. Oliver be wide open too. That's also a good point. Josh Oliver, I saw a pretty viral video on Vikings Twitter. Josh Oliver has been getting open like crazy, and Darnold multiple times has missed them. And Max saying wide receivers blocked. Yeah, well, yes. I mean, Sean McVay, he asks a lot out of his wide receivers, and blocking and running in motion is definitely one of the main things he asks. And they do a great job. I mean, they're a physical bunch over there in Los Angeles. And I just love Kupp and Nakua. I think they're, in my opinion, they're the best tandem in the National Football League. I would love to say Jefferson and Addison, but really if I had to pick two wide receivers to be on my team, it's probably those two. Both great at blocking, both great route runners, both are deep threats, both great after the catch as well. They're fantastic. But Jared saying give Addison some screen passes and slants too. Yeah, you gotta get him open in different ways. Like, that's why I love that little jet sweep they gave to him against the Packers, where then he turns a corner, he's just got one man to beat, and then he's in the end zone. He just puts his foot in the ground real quick. He got north and south, and it was 6. DJR saying right on Darnold. Don't think is our long-term plans though. Yeah, I don't think so. I would probably say, all right, let me ask you guys this before you guys also let me know what your favorite Halloween candy is. Give me the percentage chance that Darnold is QB1 for the Vikings. What percent chance would you give it that Sam Darnold, number 14, is under center week 1 of next season? I am probably at 15%. I think that's as high as I'm going to go. Because also, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Vikings just bring Darnold back on a 1-year deal. 1 year, $25 million. Create some create some void years where his cap hit's not that high, and you just let JJ, still rehab, still get fully back. Like, I'd probably go 15%. But Jared's going 10%. Rocky's going peanut butter cup. Yeah, I think I have to go Twix, favorite Halloween candy. But yeah, Jared's going 10%. I think I'm going 15. Erica Point, what's up, Eric? Welcome in. Erica Point, Vikings fan from New Mexico, going 25%. So you're a little higher than I am, Eric. Same with Ruben. Ruben's going 25. Rocky's going 10 on the percent chance that Sam Darnold is QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, I got to go 15. I just think it is, I don't want to say very unlikely, but it's definitely unlikely. But again, like, if he goes in, has a great, like, right now the Vikings have the 4th best odds to come out the NFC. Or they're tied for 3rd technically with the Eagles. But it goes Lions, Packers. Actually, I take that back. I think maybe the Niners are up there as well. Let me look this up real quick. But point being is, like, clearly the bookmakers think the Vikings have a chance to go and make the Super Bowl. As crazy as that sounds, like, if Darnold does that, like, he has to be back. Like, he has to be. Harvey's going 60%. Wow. All right, Harvey. Christian going Jets was in triple coverage on that play. where Addison was open. What do you think about Sam's surviving skills? Also, keeping in mind he's held on to the football the longest in the league. Christian, great point. So, yeah, I think Darnold, we definitely have seen that playmaking ability this year. But too many times, like, I feel like Darnold takes sacks, and obviously every sack could be considered a drive ender. But I feel like Darnold, like, so much, like, he'll take the snap, he'll be in the pocket, he'll see the pocket is collapsing, he'll try to back out, he'll run backwards away from the line of scrimmage, and then I almost think, like, he thinks he's a better athlete than he is, and these edge rushers closing fast, where then Darnold's taking a 12-yard sack, and then it's 2nd and 22, or it's 3rd and 22, and there's just not much to do. So I totally get what you're saying, but that's how the quick pass, or that's when the quick pass game comes into play, where you're not asking Darnold to do all that. You're not asking him to be a playmaker. You're not asking him to play backyard football. You're just asking him to run an offense, keep us ahead of the sticks, and almost like I've honestly respected that Kevin O'Connell hasn't dumbed down the offense for Darnold this season. I would almost want him to. Like, make it easier on him. Like, I feel like KOC ask a lot of him, and when you're asking a lot of a quarterback, they're naturally just going to go to the best wide receiver in the National Football League, and maybe that has something to do with why Jefferson's been getting all of the target share over a guy like, obviously our boy Jordan Addison. But Tom Miles saying 50-50, long way to go between now and then. Yeah, that's why this conversation of Darnold versus JJ is just reckless speculation at this point. Just all reckless speculation as Mike's going 5%. DJR saying Darnold is Keenum. Darnold's a little better than Keenum. Guys, Darnold was top 3 pick in the draft for a damn good reason here. But we'll see. We'll see. So I do want to talk about some injury news here real quick. So as it stands right now, nobody has been officially ruled in or ruled out for this game, but T.J. Hockenson, he'll be playing. Apparently no limitations on him, so there would be no snap count. There's going to be nothing restricting his play. I expect him to be out there for, honestly, 95% of snaps this weekend. Blake Cashman, he was not at practice today. He was a DMP, so that's not good news there, but there is some slight optimism that he'll be ready to go, but I also think this, like, if you can't beat the Colts without Blake Cashman, we got problems. Like, I don't want the Vikings thinking, oh man, we gotta rush Cashman back, because if we don't rush Cashman back, like, what are we gonna do? Like, you should be able to beat the Colts without him. So point being, like, if he still is dealing with that turf toe, which is also an injury that can linger throughout a season, save him for Jacksonville. Save him for when these big-time divisional games start coming up, where you still have 2 games versus the Bears, and you end your season week 17 and 18 versus the Packers and the Lions. Like, I'd rather keep him healthy, and I understand you want to get this game. You need to get this game, because you fall to 5-3, lose 3 in a row, and, the Packers and Lions play each other. So let's just say the Lions win that one. Packers fall to 6-3. Let's just say the Bears win. You got the same record as the Bears, and you're in last place in the NFC. And then we got problems. But Rory saying, sorry, I want to see my Minnesota Vikings play like they want to go to the Super Bowl. I'm sick of hearing all the whining, all the trading, all of the desperate of our team. If all of these players want to win, show us. Rory, I'm going to assume you're an older Vikings fan than I am, and I've noticed also with my time covering this football team, the older you get, the more years you have of being a Vikings fan under your belt, the more negative you are. And I'm not saying you're a negative person, but just how you view this football team. Honestly, I've noticed it myself. I just turned 25 about 2 weeks ago at this point. And I've noticed myself year after year. But all right, for this for example, if I was a junior in high school and the Vikings started 5-0 like they did, I'm probably asking my parents to start buying tickets for the Super Bowl. But now as I've gone through the years, I've had a little more callousness built up with this football team. Like, even when they were 5-0, I'm like, man, you remember 2016? Remember what happened that season? Vikings fans were chanting 5-0 walking out of that stadium. Then they ended up dropping 8 of their next 11 games, going 8-8 and missing the playoffs. Like, yeah, but I'm still very optimistic about this team this year. Like, you still have a very good coaching staff. Like, I don't want everybody hopping off the boat of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. Like, you think about this. You went toe-to-toe with the best team in the NFC by far in the Detroit Lions. And then on a short week, after playing the Lions, a very physical game, like you still had a chance to go win it with the Rams getting Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua back. I guarantee you, if the Rams had Kupp and Nacua for the whole season, that spread heading into that game, if the Rams were, let's just say, 5-2 at the time, or 5-1, 4-2 at the time, I guarantee you that would have probably been 4 points in favor of the Los Angeles Rams. They're a good team. Like, it's not like, listen, the Vikings would have lost to like the Cardinals and the Titans last 2 weeks. We're having a whole different conversation here. Whole different conversation. But Jared saying we're still contenders until further notice. I'm with you, Jared. I'm with you. Erica Point saying happy Halloween, Purple Family, skol, skol, skol. Speaking of Halloween, let me know your thoughts on this. What is your favorite Halloween candy? And if you guys like candy corn, I am anti-candy corn. I don't think it's candy. I despise candy. It's not like I hate the taste of it. It's just very bland to me. And I know there's going to be some people saying candy corn is my favorite Halloween candy, and that is more than okay. But for me personally, I am judging you. If you say candy corn is your favorite Halloween candy, no doubt. And Max saying facts, the Rams wasn't scrubs. Yes, if you thought the Rams, if you were just looking at the record saying, oh, that's a bad football team. No, they weren't. Like, they had missed their top 2 weapons the entire season. Like, that's a good football team over there in Los Angeles. Also a great coaching staff as well. But Michael H. saying Mr. Goodyear the best. That's a great one. I love that. Underrated. And Mac kind of going in my direction. I'm a big gummies person. And Mac saying Lifesaver gummies. Yeah, I like if you guys have ever had them, they got this new candy at the gas station. It's called like the Skittles gummies. Oh my goodness. They are to die for, man. They're to die for. But Eric going caramel squares. Good answer as well, Eric. Shout out to you, man. Tom Wiles saying candy corn is for throwing, not eating. I agree. I think candy corn is damn near a makeshift football, or closer to a makeshift football rather than candy. Not a bad take right there. Blank's going Crunch. Yeah, Crunch was my stuff growing up. Like anytime I went to a movie theater, I would get the bunch of Crunch. It was amazing. Yeah, I love Crunch coming from Intergalactic. Crunch is great, dude. Crunch is, I feel like, I'll say this, candy take of Halloween for you guys. I think Crunch is the most underrated candy bar. That's what I'll say. Ooh, John Musgrove going cows. Now that's a pull right there from Musgrove. Those are delicious. Eric going, I hate that they made those Skittles gummies. I crush a bag of those in a sitting. Dude, Eric, I crushed like 4 bags. Like, my girlfriend and I would have swing by the gas station for whatever the case may be. We'll pick up like 4 bags of those Skittle gummies, and I'm having probably 3.5 of them just by myself. Yeah, John going Cowtails. Cowtails are amazing with the little, not like the cream in the middle of it. Those are great. Kool-Aid though, saying who you got, Houston or New York tonight? So, Houston or New York. So the funny thing about this game, so it's a 6-2 Houston Texans squaring off with the 2-6 New York Jets. I want to ask everybody this. It's a short week. The game's in New York. What do you think the spread is in that game? It's the 6-2 Houston Texans taking on the 2-6 New York Jets in New York. Jets just lost to the Patriots. The Texans barely just beat the Indianapolis Colts this past week. What do you guys think the spread is? Because everything in my mind, everything I know about football would tell me to hammer the Texans in this game. Jets aren't a good team. Aaron Rodgers has completely gone off the rails as a dictator in that organization. But funny enough, John Musgrove just said it. Erica Point said 7.5. Eric, I got news for you. The Jets are favored in this game by 2 points. It is one of the weirder spreads of all time. And Mac, the spread's unbelievable. I don't know if that's one of those like spots where it's like Vegas is trying to bait people into taking the Texans, them having some inside info, but I just don't understand that. Yeah, John Musgrove's saying it's because of Devontae Adams. The Jets just had Devontae Adams, and they lost to the Patriots, one of the worst teams in the National Football League. It's definitely going to be interesting tonight to see how this game plays out, but a weird line, no doubt about it. As we got Michael saying beer is his favorite candy. Yeah, no doubt. Tim saying Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Those are a classic. Mike going good old-fashioned Snickers. I'm a big fan of Snickers as well. Have you guys ever had the Snickers almond ones? Those are pretty good as well. But, yeah, just kind of wanted to get up on here, chop it up with you guys, talk about the Minnesota Vikings for a little bit. Tom Miles saying, now I have another reason to hate Rodgers. Yes, sir, Tom. But you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to set a goal in the chat right now. I'm going to set a goal in the chat as Harvey is going Twizzlers. Rory saying, thank you for addressing me, Patrick. I've lived with this team my whole life, born and raised Minnesota. I just get so frustrated. Let's go get a nose tackle and problem will be solved. Yeah, I mean, I can actually show you guys. I got some realistic trade targets because I do think the Vikings are – I'm not saying like I know something here, but I do think there's a chance they go and make a move at the deadline. So I have just 4 realistic names. Just keep your eyes on them. I'm not saying any of these are going to happen, but these are 4 names that I could see going down. Now, on the right side of your screen, this would be number 1 for me. It would be Calais Campbell. He is a 38-year-old defensive lineman, but he's still incredibly, incredibly productive. He is a mammoth of a human being. He is 6'8", super long wingspan. He can stop the run at a high level. He can pass rush still at a high level. And I think this would be a perfect fit with the Vikings this season because you wouldn't be asking him to be an every down defensive lineman. You would probably just want him in big spots, like 3rd and long. You plug him in on the inside, and you just have him go one-on-one with the team's offensive guard. Like, he could cook them. So if I had to pick anybody, it would probably be Calais, but also a guy like B.J. Hill. You know what, the Bengals, I think they're dropping the 3 and 5 so far this season. Like, I wouldn't hate the Vikings taking a chance with him, but, you know, these are 4 guys where if the Vikings are going to make a move, keep your eyes out on it. I could definitely see this, you know, going down here soon. But, you know, speaking about Hot coming back this week, over-under for me. Let's play a little game. 45.5 receiving yards for Hawk this Sunday. Vegas does have this line set at 38.5. I decided to juice it up a little bit to go 45.5. But I would probably take the U for under in this. I think Hawk's probably going to have, I'll probably say 5 catches for, you know, 37, 42 yards around there. Maybe he finds the end zone one time. But that's probably what I would go. But at max going over, hey, I would love a big-time game from Hawk, man. That would be huge. Kool-Aid Ninja saying, as much as I want Dexy in purple, I doubt we get him. Yeah, I doubt anybody gets him. Giants view him as kind of a cornerstone of that franchise. You know, they're trying to shift into this rebuild. And, you know, I bet the Giants are going to go draft a quarterback this season, and they want that foundation to be at least solid for rookie quarterback to come into because we've seen it. Like the Panthers with Bryce Young. Terrible organization. No support system for the quarterback. Bryce Young fizzled out. I think Anthony Richardson, him fizzling out in Indy was more on him, but still, it's not like they gave him the perfect situation. Like, the receivers have had drop issues in Indy this year. Like, I find it funny enough that that's a storyline that nobody talks about is the Indy Colts receivers. Like, they just can't catch. But that's another story for another day. But Harvey saying easy over. MPLS going over. Jared saying the only reason I think Dex is a possibility is because the Giants got to grab their franchise quarterback, so might be looking to stock up on first-round picks to move up to number 1. Now, that's also a very, very fair point. Very fair point, but I think they would probably move off a guy like Azeez Ojulari. It's an edge rusher they have here. I think like that's like their worst-case scenario is like, man, like, because right now the Giants, I think they have like the 9th pick in the draft with how many bad teams are on the NFL. Like, I mean, there are like 6 or 7 AFC teams with 2 wins this season. Like maybe they could, because in my opinion, the number 1 QB this year is Cam Ward of Miami. If you guys haven't watched him yet, please go do so. He is an absolute stud, but I don't know. I just really don't think Dexy is going to be available on the trade block, but we'll see. We will definitely see. John Musgrove saying I got a Hawk stashed on 3 of my fantasy teams. Yeah, I do too. I stashed Hawk and Nick Chubb. Unfortunately, I'm actually, I think, 2-6 on the fantasy season right now. It is not good. Not good for me this year in fantasy. Shout out to Breece Hall for not living up to my expectation that I had for him this year. And also, I had to trade Marvin Harrison. He was kind of a disappointment. Took him in the 2nd round. But, Yeah, Jared's saying, yeah, I don't think Dex is probable, but then me needing a QB gives him a small chance. I'm with you. Yeah. No, Jared, that's wraps up my thoughts completely. But I am going to put a little timer on. We're at 45 minutes in our live show right now. If you guys want us to stay live here, we're going to say if we just get 5 super chats, I'll just do the next 15 minutes. We will stay live for the next 30 minutes here. I'm going to put that goal. I just started in the live chat. If we get 5 super chats of any amount, we'll stay live for the next 30 minutes. That's a goal I'll put out for you guys. But if not, I'm going to hop on out of here, go celebrate Halloween a little bit. And yeah, you guys can too. But what's your take on why we aren't getting McGlothern some action? I think it's just trust. Like, he's a UDFA. I'm sure Flores will, trust a veteran like Shaq Griffin, a veteran like Byron Murphy, and obviously Stephon Gilmore over him. And plus Flores with his defense, like, he rarely runs, 4 corners. I actually don't think one time they've ran a set with 4 corners out there on the field. Most of the time it's just 2 corners. Sometimes it's 3 on pass downs. But, yeah, I just think Dwight McGlothern, I'm guessing he's just a stash play for the Vikings, where hopefully it's like next year. If we need him to step up, they can go to him, see what they have. But the cornerback position is going to be very, very interesting to follow over the next couple of months here. Specifically at the deadline, then once free agency comes, like, will the Vikings address it then, or will they go try to get one in the draft? Because they're going to need to. Like, Gilmore, Murphy, and Griffin are off the books for next season. They're all going to be free agents. So we'll see. Is Tom Lyles, another great comment from my man Tom, saying, I hope they get number 15 in there. Yeah, Dallas Turner. If I see Patrick Jones out-snap Dallas Turner one more time this season, I'm going to start getting pissed off. Patrick Jones, I think he fooled a lot of us. I think a lot of us Vikings fans saw the 5 sacks in the first 3-4 weeks, and we're like, oh, man, is Patrick Jones taking that step? If you go look at those sacks, a lot of those are just scheme sacks. Some of them came off just, twist concepts by Flores, and I would just be disappointed if they don't start getting Dallas Turner some more run. Like, you traded up for him. Like, it's not like he fell to you at pick 23. Like, no, you had to go trade up with the Jags to pick 17 to go get this guy. Like you have to get Turner in there. And this is a good point. Like, Jared saying Grenard and Gink have been awesome. Like, yeah, like, no doubt they've been very, very good. But as the third guy, it's got to be Turner over Patrick Jones. And I think Flores will make that change. I think we'll see a lot more of Turner this week. I also thought he has been awesome at the podium when asked about it. He's just like, hey, it's not my call. I'm not going to say much. I'm not going to, give too much thoughts on that. So I thought the way he's been handling it has been pretty impressive for a very, very young man who's only 21 years old. Yeah. He must be hungry by now and ready to tear it up. I agree. Denham saying, let's draft Travis Hunter and next year get a new CB and wide receiver 3. So, funny enough, Denham, like, if the Vikings, say if we were like 2-5 right now and the season was, going down the drain, I would be all in on Travis Hunter. But I just don't think the Vikings are going to be in a position to in the draft him. Like, he's probably going to go in the top 10. As Harvey Buxton coming with a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Harvey. See what you got to say. Throw this up on screen here real quick. Shout out to you, Harvey. We appreciate you. But Harvey Buxton coming in. Welcome. Saying anyone you would trade away. Not off the top of my head, but there is one report I heard that Brian Asamoah may be on the trade block. Maybe a guy like a Caleb Evans could be out there. That's probably about it, though. Like, I don't think there's any other guy on this roster that I could see being dealt. If they were 2-5, maybe you start looking at like a Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum. It's Alan D saying trade Ingram. Alan, I got bad news for you. Nobody is trading for Ed Ingram. I wish, though. Like, even if you could get a 6th, 7th round pick for him, like, just get something back. That would be sweet. Jared saying Patrick Jones. That's a great answer. That would be awesome. Like, if some team kind of gets tricked by the 5 sacks and they're like, oh, yeah, Patrick Jones has been having a pretty good year. Let's go trade him. He's got 5 sacks in Minnesota, but unfortunately, I don't think a lot of teams are going to be swinging for P. Jones. Maybe you could get a 4th for him, but, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. No, I agree. Like, Patrick Jones makes a lot of sense to trade from the Vikings perspective. And Max saying, I trade Murphy for Jets Reed. I would fucking love DJ Reed and Max. Excuse my language, but man, that's my number one trade target. I think DJ Reed is the most underrated cornerback in the National Football League. He is way better than Sauce Gardner. Like, he's just had a better year. Obviously, Sauce has had the better career. Like, he was all pro his first 2 years in the league. But, you know, DJ Reed, man, he's one of the most underrated guys in the National Football League. I mean, he was awesome against us. Like, in London, he was going step for step with Addison, Jefferson on every deep route we tried. Like, I think Sauce, maybe it's just because of his name, like Sauce Gardner. Like, what a cool name that is. Like, him getting more attention. But, yeah, I would love DJ Reed. Byron Murphy for DJ Reed straight up. I mean, I'm taking it. Or even if you got to attach like a fourth to that, like I'm doing that as well. But, you know, again, like this is a big time of the year. Make sure you guys are subscribed, notifications on, because I promise you, if we get more news around this football team, I'll have a video for you guys ASAP. But DJR saying, Pat, you got to give time for chemistry to develop with Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And I think that will show tonight. Jets W. Do we need to give time for Rodgers and Adams to build that connection? Wouldn't you think they would have already had it? But I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think Rodgers is not the same guy. Like, how about this? Let's do a little fun game here. Aaron Rodgers is the blank best quarterback in the AFC. Just the AFC. Taking Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow. 5 off the top of my head, not even debatable for me. Then you got guys like C.J. Stroud, definitely taking him over him. Even go a guy like, as crazy as it sounds, like Russell Wilson. Like, you're probably taking Russ over him. Go to the AFC West, like probably not Bo Nix yet. Definitely not Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's probably the 8th best quarterback in the AFC. Like, when you got the 8th best quarterback in the AFC, the defense is taking a step back from Salah. Like, that's why I just don't understand this line at all for tonight. Not one bit. But Rocky did come in with the $5 super chat, just saying, go Vikings. Appreciate you. Hopefully you give Rocky some treats tonight for Halloween. But thank you so much for tuning in, as always. But under McCarthy, 9 to 10 wins, first starting season. I would hope so. I mean, that would be the the floor for me. Would probably be 9 wins with JJ next season. And Max saying, I predict Danielle Hunter will demolish Rodgers tonight. I would be so happy if we saw that, and Mac, no doubt. No doubt. But Ruben saying, get AP back. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Denham saying, if JJ hadn't been hurt, do you think he would have had some play time this season? Ooh, good question. I'm going to say no. I mean, Darnold's got 14 touchdowns, 5 picks, and he's been very, very good. Vikes are 5-2 as well. Like, let's just say if they were 3-4, I don't even think it would matter what Darnold has done. I think we would be starting JJ, but I don't think if like same situation happened, that would go down. Allen saying, I think you get a start eventually. I mean, it would just have to come down to the record. Like if the Vikings start losing games, then yeah, but. Alrighty, guys. First off, just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just kind of wanted to do something fun for you guys. Hop up on here. I'm Modded Jeff saying, you know who I got, Pat? SKOL, what up? How you doing? I'm Modded. Welcome in. Patrick, what are your thoughts on this Sunday game versus Colts playoffs eventually? I mean, the Vikings win this week. You move to 6-2. Like, if you don't make the playoffs, that means a disaster had to have happened. And plus, you got the Jags and the Titans next 2 weeks. You think worst case scenario out of this 3-game stretch, like worst case, you're 7-3. You would really need to collapse to not make the playoffs, considering you still have home games with the Cardinals and the Falcons. Like, you assume you split those. Let's say even you split against the Bears, and then you win 2 of 3 in your last 3 games. Like, you're still at 12 wins. No, but I am, Landon, I'm very, very confident in a win this weekend. Very confident. I think the Vikes bounce back. It's funny, I was calling for the longest time, like even back at week 4 when the Vikes, it was all-time high. We're talking Super Bowl left and right here. Like, I still said that Rams game is a tough spot. Like, short week traveling to Los Angeles to go against Sean McVay, not a lot of teams are successful. Plus, with the Lions hangover, stat that's been being thrown around, like, it's tough, man. It is a tough spot. tough spot. But, guys, I do just want to say thank you so much. We're closing in on an hour before we are being live here. So I'm going to sign off. But seriously, thank you guys so much. I just wanted to get up on here, show some love to you guys, just chop it up for about an hour or two. So really awesome stuff for all the people that tuned in. Almost had 1,500 people in the building today. So that was very, very cool. So happy Skolween to everybody. I love that from Alan. Tom saying good job. I appreciate you, Tom. Thank you as always for tuning in. Alan D saying bleed in purple. Let's go. Love it. Yeah, we'll be live Sunday, probably about an hour and 15 minutes before the game, probably around 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you guys want to tune in for that, just come find the channel, hop in the live chat, and hang out with us. Tim, yeah, Skol to a bright future. We don't have a shot glass today, but I'll cheers you guys with my water. Cheers all of you guys. I hope you guys have a very, very safe Halloween. Call Uber if you guys are going out drinking, celebrating tonight. Just be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Hopefully all of you guys stay safe on this Halloween. But cheers to you guys. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. And thank you so much. See you guys next time.